As Capcom has completed its development for Monster Hunter World after releasing Iceborne, all of the previously restricted time-limited events are now permanently available for everyone to do. Going through the events tab and seeing all of these quests listed here is super overwhelming. You're not going to know which ones you want to do. In an effort to reduce this overwhelm and demystify it a little bit, I've been doing roundup videos and spotlight videos of the events, showcasing which ones I believe are worthwhile doing. These cover different parts of the game for all levels of players. Definitely check it out if you haven't done so. I'm sure there's something for everyone. I'm Lighted Up Dan, and on this channel we cover action RPGs, roguelikes and MMOs, including loads of Monster Hunter World, I'm sure you've noticed. Just as a really quick side here folks, over 90% of the viewers on the channel are unsubscribed. Despite there being a very large majority of returning viewers, it would mean the world to me if you do enjoy the videos, do subscribe. And with that said, let's get to it. This roundup is going to be focusing on late game event gear, which is super powerful and definitely something that you should check out to further round out your builds and diversify your armory. If you keenly watch every single one of the videos, there will be a little bit of crossover here, so bear with me. It's going to be worthwhile having it all in one place. Wolf Out of Hell is a 6-star MR24 event facing off against a Stygian Zenogre. This and all the other events we're going to cover are going to be MR24, so you'll have to have completed Iceborne to get access to them. A variant of the regular Zenogre, Stygian Zenogre is in fact Dragon Elemental. Think of it as the Ebony Odogaron to the regular Odogaron. Usually only found in the Guiding Lands, this event is a fantastic way to immediately go and face off against the monster. As it's Dragon Elemental, it will deal dragon damage and cause Dragon Blight ailment if you don't have resistance high enough. This can be negated with 20 Dragon Elemental resistance or 3 Blight resistance. However, depending on the weapons that you are utilizing, you might not even be fussed about Dragon Blight at all, as the effect of the ailment is to nullify any elemental damage or status buildup. So if you're just using a raw weapon, or you're not really fussed on the status or the elements, you don't really need to pay too much attention to it. When it's charged up and shining, it's very weak to Thunder Elemental and pretty weak to Water Elemental. Either of those are going to be a great choice, but if you are going to go for Elemental, you may as well go for Thunder. Its head and legs are vulnerable to all types of damage, so try to focus off your attacks there. If you want to go for a tail sever, just know that it's very tough and you're definitely going to want to tenderize it first. There are multiple windows when the Stygian Zenogre is calling down lightning or charging up for you to get out extra damage, particularly against the head, so try to make use of those windows where you can. Any part breaks or mounts toppling the monster over and giving you these additional windows of damage are going to be absolutely crucial for your hunt here. Like the regular Zenogre, it has a deadly combo of attacks, letting off smash after smash in a vicious sequence that can cart you really easily if you're caught in multiple hits. A good tip is to stay down if you've been knocked over and enjoy the invulnerability frames you get from laying on the ground. As with all Iceborne monsters, Stygian Zenogre is designed with the Clutch Claw in mind. Do your best to tenderize the parts when you have a chance, and go for those wall bangs whenever the monster isn't enraged to crank out a huge amount of damage on the head, get those part breaks easier, and of course get that topple for a large damage window for you and your squad. Once you're done getting juiced up with enough dragon energy to go full on Arisen, you will be rewarded with a bunch of Stygian Zenogre parts. We're going to grab these and go straight to the smithy. The armor set gives you high dragon resistance and a decent amount of raw defense, as well as some really interesting abilities like Latent Power Secret, and 2 Part Breaker on the gloves as well. That's a big one. Definitely ones to consider to help diversify your build a little bit. See if there's anything you want to slot in here. The weapons are coming in at rarity 11 with a decent amount of raw, small amount of purple sharpness, Dragon Elemental with average Elder Seal, and a level 2 gem slot as well. These can also be upgraded to a rarity 12 version, improving upon the weapon. However, this does require some Guiding Land Stygian Zenogre parts, so if you're after the upgrades, you will have to go do that. As these are a direct craft, they're a fantastic choice for you to just go out, do an event or two, and then immediately make some cool weapons. Not to mention that they look absolutely killer. Up next is another 6-star MR24 event, The Last White Knight, pitting you up against a tempered Frostfang Barioth. They're all 6-star MR24, but I'll just say it anyway. This event has been covered a couple of times because it's absolutely phenomenal and you definitely should be doing it. Taking place in Hoarfrost Reach against the tempered Barioth, we are after the Frostfang ticket. This monster is a variant of the regular Barioth and is very similar but a little bit more icy with some unique Ice Blast attacks. Lots of people find the variant easier than the original. Personally, I get dunked by both. Being an Ice Elemental Flying Wyvern, it will inflict Ice Blight against you if you do not have 20 Ice Resist or 3 Blight Resistance. Ice Blight is one of those ailments that does make a difference, so I would recommend having some sort of protection against it, or at the very least having a Cleanser booster on hand. Null Berries do work as well. The monster is very weak to fire damage and pretty weak to thunder damage. Both are going to be great options if you are choosing to take elemental weapons out. He likes to leap around the place, which can be really hard to deal with, but if you fight it in its nest location, it won't actually leap about too much, even though it is really intimidating to be fighting in that space. It will try to root you in place with an Ice Blast to then follow up with a sequential smash. This can really suck and I get caught in it quite a lot. Like Zinogre, it does combo its attacks, so if you do get caught with the first one, you can stay down. Chances are you'll actually avoid the follow-up ones. Going for part breaks are going to give you lots of windows for damage, making the monster flinch or topple over, and in particular if you can break the front 2 arms, the monster will trip up constantly as it leaps around the level. This gives you lots of breathing space and is an essential strategy when fighting Barioths. This makes it so much easier on you. In addition to your part breaks, try to get mounts when you can, utilize your Clutch Claw to wound parts for additional damage and to get those part breaks easier, and of course the glorious wall bangs. Once you're done getting colder than Elsa, you will be rewarded with your Frostfang ticket, hopefully a few, and a bunch of Frostfang Barioth parts. Taking these to the smithy, we can craft our armor sets and our fantastic weapons as well. The armor set looks absolutely killer, with a couple of pieces having some really cool skills and really good gem slots as well. The gloves with 2 critical eye and 2 level 4 gem slots stand out to me for sure, as well as the legs with 1 attack boost and 2 level 4 gem slots, but they're all great, so take a look at the whole set. These weapons are something else. They are a great choice. Rarity 11 direct crafts with really decent raw damage, a small amount of purple sharpness, some more than others, with a massive amount of white sharpness, great affinity, and a huge amount of ice elemental damage as well. You will get all the materials you need to craft this off the one event as well. These were the weapons I covered in the video, recommending which ones to make when you're facing up against Alatreon. Definitely check out the different Frostfang Barioth weapons, these are super cool. Up next is another 6-star MR24 event, Monkey Business, pitting you up against a Furious Rajang in Hoarfrost Reach. This thing is an absolute menace. Oh my goodness. Regularly cited as harder than Alatreon, this thing sucks. You're in for a tough fight. This is one of the hardest monsters in the game. Being Thunder Elemental, it will inflict you with Thunder Blight if you do not have 20 Thunder Resistance or 3 Blight Resist. Thunder Blight is incredibly dangerous as it increases your propensity to be stunned. This, however, will have absolutely no effect if you have 3 Stun Resist. Definitely keep that in mind before you're rushing to give yourself 3 Blight Resist or whatever. Regardless though, the Thunder Resist is going to be super helpful in this fight. Another thing that will be super helpful and will actually transform this fight for you is if you can take 3 Tremor Resist, it's going to be an absolute game changer, as he will lock you in place with a Tremor and then smash you. This Super Saiyan Ape is permanently in its charged up state, never reverting back to the regular Rajang state. It also doesn't have a tail that you can attack to knock it back out of it. Probably why it's furious. It's very weak to Ice Elemental, so any weapons you have with a lot of Ice Elemental attack, such as the Frostfang Barioth weapons we just took a look at, will definitely be useful against this monster. It is absolutely relentless in its attacks, comboing in quick succession with deadly precision, gap closing in an instant, firing off lightning orbs and lightning beams. You're in for a rough ride. You're going to need to focus your damage on its head and arms. This can be really tricky because when it goes into its uber enraged state, you know, its biceps go red and bulging, you'll find that a lot of your attacks actually bounce off its arms. This, combined with how aggressive aggressive and deadly it is can be really tricky for you to actually get any damage out at all. You have to be very cautious about when you decide to clutch claw onto the monster. If you don't catch it sort of locked into some sort of animation, or it's like tired or whatever, it will grab you off its back and Hulk smash you into the ground Loki style. And if you or other players don't have the right slinger ammo to flinch it out, this is probably going to kill you. Try your best to get mounts, particularly when you're fighting near a ledge. Do use opportunities to wound it and wallbang when you can. I like to try and go for the wallbangs when it's doing its long range Kamehameha beam attack. That way it's locked into that animation doing it. Part breaks and KOs are going to be your absolute best friend for toppling the monster and giving you those crucial windows of damage so that you and your squad can actually defeat this beast. Be careful with placing traps, as if it sees it, it will go up to it, pick it up and smash it. So you have to kind of place the traps on him. It is capturable and you should definitely consider it, because even when it seems like the fight is nearly over, when it's hobbling away, it can very easily turn everything around in an instant, causing you to go back empty-handed. After you're done smashing the Saiyans in your Frieza power fantasy, you will be rewarded with a bunch of Furious Rajang parts. I've noticed that by doing this event rather than the optional, it does seem like there's a high chance you get lots of really nice parts. I've gotten like 4 Furious Rajang hearts in one hunt. Other than the golden ticket, I'm not sure if there is any difference between the optional, but I personally do go out of my way to actually do the event version. And my goodness, this is some of the best gear in the game. It'll certainly set you up moving forwards. The armor set is incredibly strong, coming in at 850 base defense, with solid fire, thunder, and dragon resistances, and some amazing abilities and gem slots. The headpiece has 3 earplugs, the chest has got 3 maximum might, another 2 on the girdle, 3 health boost, and 2 level 4 gem slots on the legs. Just some fantastic gear. The weapons are a direct craft, rarity 12 coming in with really good raw damage, great purple sharpness, 15% affinity, and a solid amount of thunder elemental damage as well. These are phenomenal weapons. They will take you to the next level for sure. I was using my Furious Rajang weapons for a good while. Hopefully you're going to get loads of use from them as well. I have once more saved the best until last, friends. One more 6-star MR24 quest, this time an optional, against the infamous Raging Brachadios. Another heads up that this thing sucks, but if you can beat it, you get some of the best gear in the game. Raging Brachie is another one of the toughest monsters in the entire game, so you are going to be in for one hell of a fight. Its size is actually locked and it's a very large monster, which is super dangerous of course because it means its hitboxes are massive. First and foremost, you are absolutely going to want to come in with 3 blast resist. This will stop you from getting the powered up version of Blast Blight, Blast Scourge, which activates quicker and deals more damage. Having 3 blast resist is just going to be super helpful for you to take less damage and not have to worry about this blight. You will still, however, take damage from the explosions off the slime off the floor. It's very weak to ice and pretty weak to water. These elements are going to be very useful with your fight against the monster. Do consider taking the Frostfang Barrier weapons that we've just made. Not only are we interested in the elemental damage, but you'll notice on the Raging Brachie that it has slime on its fists and on its head like the regular Brachie. However, these will turn red, powering up to the Flashpoint slime. This is super dangerous as it almost instantly explodes, and I think it does more damage too. Either way, it's really bad news. You can knock off this Flashpoint slime by attacking the fist's head and tail when you see them red. You can do this with melee attacks, ice and water elemental damage, and using your slinger to fire water moss at the parts as well. Keeping on top of this is going to be essential during your fight against the monster. Just be cautious as the slime will drop off onto the floor. This is super annoying when you've toppled the monster because it happens all the time. It's one of the main things that carts me during the fight. Keeping close to the monster is your best bet to stay safe, chipping away at its legs and arms if you can, but try not to create distance as it has some terrifying and deadly gap closers and long-range explosive attacks. Getting part breaks is going to be fundamental for you and your team to create opportunities to get damage out on the monster. Make sure you're wounding the parts when you can with your clutch claw, getting wall bangs whenever the monster isn't enraged, and doing your best to get mounts when you can, particularly making use of any ledges nearby. You can also use your traps to give you additional windows of damage, and crucially giving you safe opportunities to deal that damage. This is one of the hardest fights in the game. It's gonna be tough. There will be times where you do triple cart, and that's okay. Even experienced hunters who know what to expect can lose against Raging Brachie. It's really tough. It does does have a final phase when it's on low HP, where it will smash against the side of a slope, throwing slime out everywhere. This is a really dangerous phase. The whole level is seemingly covered in this slime, which will do a damage over time if you stand in it, and you're gonna have no choice but to stand in it half the time. And it keeps up with its aggression, constantly attacking you. Once it has spread out enough slime, it will do a stunning roar which locks all the players in place and detonates the slime. If you happen to be standing in it, you're in for a world of pain. If you're fully healed, this shouldn't cart you though. Make use of the slope to do your sliding attacks. When I'm using hammer, I've got a very powerful sliding attack, so I do go for those, and hopefully you're gonna get the win. After you're done questioning all of your life choices that brought you to this exact moment, you will be rewarded with your much deserved Raging Brachydios parts. Taking these to the smithy, you can make some of the very best gear in the game. The armor set is absolutely phenomenal. 850 defense, good fire resistances, with some incredible skills on the gear and fantastic gem slots as well. We've got weakness exploit, agitator, agitator secret, and we all know since Iceborne, agitator is super strong. Monsters are nearly always bloody enraged, and the legs with 2 weakness exploit. Take a look at the gear, see if you can fit it into your build at all. It is phenomenal. Similarly, the weapons are also some of the very best in the game, coming in at rarity 12 with really high raw damage, a small bit of purple and a decent amount of white sharpness, no affinity but a good amount of blast status build-up, and incredible gems on the weapon itself as well, a level 4 and a level 3 gem slot. These are going to be absolutely awesome for your builds, helping you take everything to the next level. Not only that, but they are some of the best looking weapons in the game. They look so cool. And that's everything I've got for this late game event roundup, focusing on quests that get you some really good powerful gear. Have you tried any of these out? Are you gonna go do them? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. As I mentioned earlier in the video, folks, over 90% of the viewers on the channel are unsubscribed. Despite there being a large amount of returning viewers, it would mean the world to me. If you enjoy the content, do subscribe, and you can also join the Discord, which we've recently opened up to everyone. Come in, make some friends, and let's do some hunts together. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the new world.